So let's talk about some more AI, because that's what Google's I/O conference should have been named, Google AI, because it was AI everywhere. If the theme of this conference, the keynote, if anything else, was AI, it was all AI. It was a million AI things.
Yeah, I looked through the list of like 100, things from Google I/O. It was like AI.
Yes. I mean, think about this. This is what we're seeing right now on the screen is a blog post on Google that is 100 things we announced at I/O 2024. And that's true. And I think 99 of these were jammed in their keynote.
Right.
It really was. It was crazy. It was 2 hours, a 2-hour keynote compared to OpenAI's 30-minute keynote.
Yeah,
just contrast those
long.
two, right?
Yeah.
It's very long. So here's some of the things they announced. And I'll go through like a quick list of these, and then we'll talk about which ones you guys liked or which are your favorite. So Gemini 1.5 Flash, which is their new model built for speed. Gemini 1.5 Pro, which is their new flagship LLM model. It has a 1 million token context window that will soon be 2 million, which is definitely biggest in the industry, coming this year. Project Astra, which was their version of OpenAI's looking at the camera thing, basically seeing what the camera sees and being able to answer questions about the camera. They also low-key used a pair of glasses in the demo, which they did not talk about. They wore them, they showed a demo of it, and then said nothing about them. So very weird, very
interesting. Yeah.
Yep. Image Gen 3, which is their new image generation model. I don't have access to that yet. I'd love to have messed with it. I only have Image Gen 2. Gems, which is the same as custom GPTs from OpenAI. So a tailored version of a GPT that you can train on a bunch of stuff and it can answer questions about specific subjects or topics. AI overview in search, which I've been messing with for a while now as part of the beta for that, but that's going to be now open to all. So top of the search window now, when you search for something in Google, whether you like it or not, because I'm not sure if you can turn it off, but it's going to be AI generated. The very, very top part of Google now, the first page even, is AI generated.
Like we talked about this last week, like how we kind of are starting to ignore like at least the first half of Google results.
I've noticed as I'm had this more and more for the past few months, I skip past the AI generated stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't trust it. I don't trust that it's right. It says it's right. It'll give you facts as it's like 100%, but it's not, right? We know it's not.
Yeah.
Then there was Veo, the video generation model, which is basically their version of OpenAI Sora. Then there was Android 15, which they've shoved AI everywhere in it, including one feature that stuck out to me where it listened to voice calls. The demo had the guy have a voice call in from somebody at his bank, right, in quotes, that said, hey, we've got a transaction and we need to move all of your money to a special account. And on the screen on his phone, on his Android phone, it popped up and said, this is likely a scam.
That's
so
awesome.
The phone is listening to his telephone conversations and telling him it's a scam. So
not
whatever
sure how
you
much
think
people
about that,
will like that, yeah.
Exactly. That's like, oh, I like it / don't like it. But it was an interesting demo.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then the last one we'll talk about is photos. They had AI built into photos, so you can ask like contextual questions about photos. They had a demo, so you could say like, hey, tell me all the characters I've dressed up as on Halloween. And it would know based on metadata on the photos and pictures of you. Let's say, hey, okay, you've dressed up as Mario and a skeleton and whatever. And it would know just based on a prompt to say, in context for where you were those photos. How many times have I been to a certain destination? It should know the answer to that too based on your photos. Yeah. Kind of cool. I think that's kind of neat. We'll see. Plus, literally, like we said, 98 other things. Like, there's so much stuff in here. So, Sarah, anything impress you? What's your takeaway from this? What's your favorite feature? You have one?
Yeah, like I will get into that in just a sec, but what you were just talking about, how like it kind of gathers all that data from like your photos and things like that. I know we tested on this program. I think, Kevin, you were gone this day when I used the Google AI to try and search like, oh, when is my trip coming up to Dallas?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. And like, it was totally could not find anything about it. So I don't know how much I believe, like, you know, what have I been for Halloween? I don't know that it's that smart yet.
I agree with you. I think we've got to see it because here's the thing.
Yeah.
None of these features are released yet.
Right.
We literally cannot mess with any of them. So is it vaporware?
Right. right?
It's Google, so you know, I mean, they have a
Well,
little
they'll
bit of a
release
track record
it,
of that,
and then they'll like shelter it for the rest of forever.
right?
Put it back on a shelf. But one that actually is very interesting to me is the gems. And this coming from, I am the head of support for a company. So I would love to train an AI with all of like my KB articles and stuff that agents can look at, like to help customers, like not customer facing,
Yep.
but so like an agent could chat with this AI that's trained on all of our KB articles and things and get answers to those questions without having to like bug our tier 2 or anything like that. So it'd be like, oh, how do I refund this payment or something like that? And so
100%.
And like, I think that's a really cool use for that, where I can just train it with our specific data. I don't want this data like, you know, incorporated anywhere else, but my agents can use that to really help them with their job.
Yeah, that's a major use case for it. I think that's a killer use case.
That's what we're doing.
I did. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can do that internally with the OpenAI version. We don't want the training data to be made public from the GPT, and we want to use it internally. And that's one of the issues with ChatGPT is if you make a GPT and it's like you can't share it publicly and not have the public look at it unless you've got a certain type of account, which that's what we took.
That's why you pay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's interesting. So if you've got, I mean, I don't know how many like articles are in your knowledge base, right? But if you take something like Apple, I did tech support for them for a minute, and their knowledge base is ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's massive.
You can't put that in a ChatGPT.
You can't find. Well, here's the problem: you can't find anything in it.
Right.
So if their Gemini 1.5 Pro has a 2 million context window, maybe we're getting closer to having that in there. Because trying to find the stuff in there would be way easier with an AI than it would try and search for it. It was impossible to search. It was absolutely impossible. You found yourself just bookmarking articles as you came across them to be like, come back to you because I'll never find that again. Never, ever. So yeah, I think that's a great case for it. And you'd only want that to be internal, right?
Right.
I could see maybe you have two, right? Maybe there's an external one and an internal one that has a mix of both, right? Which is what Apple has. So the knowledge base that you see externally on Apple, if you go to their knowledge base system, it's the same one they use internally, just with different articles in it. Or I should say there's more internally than there are external.
Right.
It's just relying on it when you go customer facing, then you own it. When it's internal, it can make mistakes. It's not as bad. They can always complain to their boss, and they're like, "Well, you should have known that anyway. What are you doing?"
Right. Why are you asking them this? Something that you learned on training day one. I mean, come on.
I told you how to refund payments a week ago. So we don't refund payments.
You do this every day. Why are you going to the knowledge base? What are we doing here?
Exactly.
So what do you guys think? Who won the battle this week? OpenAI or Google in the AI release wars?
I think it's OpenAI. I think they're going to be better marketers than Google are. And it doesn't matter what they do. Like, you notice what they talked about is like context windows and all that stuff, and no one cares about that stuff.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it is OpenAI that wins the day, because it seems, I mean, and not to disparage your kind, but this was very like dev directed. Way too technical.
Agreed.
Nobody understands any of that. And so, OpenAI wins hands down.
And that was kind of one of my points that I made too, is like, yes, I get that it's a developer conference. It is the IO developer conference. But here's the thing. The keynote, everyone watches. The keynote should not be overly technical.
Right.
OpenAI used actual demos and real-time demos too, by the way. They had demo fail.
Sure.
In that 30-minute, they had demo fail. There was stuff in there that didn't work.
Did they throw a rock at a window and say that it wasn't going to shatter?
Yeah, exactly. Elon style. Not quite that bad, but it did make mistakes, and they pointed them out. It showed that it was real. The Google one had none of that. It was all like pre-scripted, and like it was all very much canned. And I think they made the mistake of, like Bobby said, announcing too many things with under the hood technical details when you could have just demoed it.
Right.
Just show me how it works and show me the magic, and then I'll figure out the technical part afterwards. Right. It didn't have to be 2 hours of what ended up being
you would
boring.
think these Silicon Valley guys that are running this would just watch the Steve Jobs movie and just say, you know, all I had to do was say hello.
Right.
You know, like, and then he showed the thing, he demoed the thing, and he held the iPhone
and pulled
up.
something out your pocket. Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like,
that
whoa,
was the magic.
You know,
Yeah.
He should, if they have glasses, he should have walked out on the stage with them on, but no, they didn't do that. Like he should have just said, hey, let me ask this, like that's show the magic and not the underpinnings, I think. Yeah. The thing that I didn't like that I thought was kind of weird was when she's walking around the phone and it's like, hey, is that a plant? And you're just like, okay, Captain Obvious. I mean, like, is this all this can do?
Google Lens does that anyway. Like,
I mean, I guess you can have the Terminator style glasses that has like context on every single thing you look at. I mean, like, they also pointed it at a database diagram. Hey, make this faster, add a cache. Yeah. I'm like, well, you could check the index first. I mean, like, so like, but that was just me. That's the first thing that I was looking at. Like, well, that's there. Yeah, that's extreme there. It's just kind of weird. And they went from the database diagram to a picture of cats on the same whiteboard, which was just totally like,
yeah, I think they tried to shove a lot of things in there to try and like show a demo, but I agree the demo wasn't the best.
Yeah,
but that was one of the highlight parts. That's what
I mean.
Like, what was like one of the best parts of it for me. Like,
what am I going to do with
the best part was before the presentation when Mark Rubelet was there doing he did like a 30-minute DJ set using AI. That was the best thing of the whole show for me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, so just what are the use cases I think most of these guys are missing out on? And they're relying on developers to come up with the use cases. And I do think that's the problem with all of this is like no one's really figured out, do I want a $5,000 glasses to tell me that there's a flower on my desk? I mean, like, no, it's got to do something else for me. Why didn't they walk up to a air conditioner unit and pull the panel off and it shows me the wiring diagram? And, that's would have been better. So like, show me how that I can fix this in my house, because
that's the problem Google has. They talk about the kind of the why and not the how too much. They're talking about the under the hood stuff and like I should say the how, like from a technical perspective, but not the how would I use it or why. I guess it's the other way around. Why I would use it, right? Like how I'm supposed to use it. They just want to talk about we have this thing, and then my kind of analogy that I put on Threads was like they're not giving you the punchline. They're like, they're leading you up to the joke, but they're not giving you the punchline. They're giving you all the lead up, but nothing after that. And like, what really wows is the punchline. That's the part that people want. They want to see like the little wow bit. We can talk about the technical part later. I don't care that it's 2 million like token context window.
No one knows what that means. Even me, I'm highly technical. I don't know exactly what 2 million tokens. I know it's bigger, and I know that you put more information into it.
Right.
But how does that translate a token to a byte? I don't know. I mean, like it's just bigger, and that's how they should sell it.
Why do I care? Yeah.
Yeah, I can put more documents in the context window, and it can search more. Okay, cool.
Great. Thanks.
That's 20% more than it was before. Oh, okay. And it's going to be 50% next month. Something like that. They didn't announce pricing. OpenAI said, hey, API is 50% cheaper, boys.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone's signing on the API and saying, what can we build with this? What else can I do?
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah. And to like what Bobby said, recently my washing machine broke. It had an error code on it. If I could just the error code and AI tells me exactly how to fix that error,
yes,
that is
with
beneficial.
Your Samsung 24, yes.
I mean, exactly.
See, and this is one of the promises. Or one Google of the demos Pixel. That they had here, of the demos that they had was there was a lead with a record player, and it wasn't the arm of the record player wasn't weighted correctly at the back. So as she put the record arm down, it popped back off the record again. And she had a video, and she's videoing it and says, hey, what's wrong with this? And it did know what was wrong with it. It pointed her to an article that said, hey, the weight's wrong on the tone arm.
Yeah.
You need to fix it like this. I was like, that's
the magic.
Give me more of that. Just more. Right. Tell me exactly how I need to use it, because that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
You spending 2 hours on this thing was just weird. Announcing 100 different things just felt strange.
Yeah, 100 things.
Do they just have too many features to roll out?
Yeah.
When it's all AI too, like, and this is AI, and this is AI, and this is AI. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, great. Like, exactly. Show me the use cases. Don't tell me this little part of AI. Like, yeah, I get it. It's all AI. Great. Like, tell me how to use it.
I think they need to be more selective too over like how they roll them out. Like that's to my point. That's what OpenAI did. That's why I was saying on the website, there's stuff buried in there that it does. They did not talk about it on their presentation, whatever you want to call it. They just showed me the bits that I was going to go, wow, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And they buried the other stuff. It can do all this other stuff. That's what Google needed to do. They needed to give me 5 wows, and then I would have been like, oh, that was cool. That's amazing. And then I would have uncover this other stuff that it can do.
Right.
Yeah, Apple goes, one more thing. The Google guy goes, okay, 99 more things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're all just like these little things.
Get some like popcorn because you're gonna be sitting there for a while. We've got a lot to go over.
There were a couple of funny moments. There was one moment where the camera cut to somebody in the audience. They did a giant yawn. I was like,
exactly.
Well, you just summed it up. Like that. You just summed up what is happening here right now. Right. And there's some dude next to him on his phone, just like. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing right there. Somebody yawning and somebody on their phone in the audience, and you're there, literally there looking at it, and you're bored.
Yeah. That's like super unrelated. I went to a band concert because my son's in band, and he said, literally, every time I turned around and looked at you, you looked like the most bored person in the
Loved
entire
every minute of it,
honey.
You should have just gone to Google I/O. Maybe next year.
I'm like, I was entertained when you were on stage, but the rest of that, I don't care.